Hello, I'm Monica Haldar and welcome to The Secrets of How to Cook Indian Food, where I'll be bringing you the tips, tricks and techniques that you need to cook delicious Indian dishes at home. 10 years ago, I started a pop-up Indian restaurant from home with my mum. I now run 2 Indian cookery schools where I teach my students face-to-face and online exactly how to cook delicious Indian food from their home kitchens. I now can't wait to share some of this knowledge with you. In episode 2, we made a delicious on-the-bone palak gosht, an amazing spinach and lamb curry. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make something that my students often struggle with, the perfect Indian rice. We're going to infuse it with a selection of beautifully aromatic spices, and it's perfect to be served with any of your favourite Indian dishes. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is talk about the rice. Here in this bowl I have some basmati rice. This is now really readily available in most supermarkets. If you ever get the opportunity to go to an Asian supermarket, you will often see aisles dedicated to rice. And I don't want you to get confused. For this recipe, you just need an everyday basmati rice. That's going to work perfectly. Now, the first thing that is incredibly important to make sure that you're going to get those individual fluffy grains of rice is to wash it first. This is a step that some people do miss out, but it is the most crucial. It's important to wash away the excess starch. So we're going to wash this 3 or 4 times until the water runs clear. When you're washing the rice, you can either use a colander or you can wash it in a big bowl. Make sure that you wash it 3 or 4 times. Initially, you'll see that water is very cloudy and that's the excess starch. So just wash it good 3 to 4 times until that water gets nice and clear. Then you'll know that the rice is ready to start cooking. So the rice is all washed, so we're just going to keep that to the side. The first thing that we're going to do is toast off some spices. Now, this is optional, but it adds an injection of flavour, aroma and fragrance to your rice. So the first thing we're going to do is add in some oil, just about a tablespoon. Okay, so whilst the oil is getting nice and hot, we are going to talk about the spices. So the first thing here I've got are some bay leaves. I've got fresh bay leaves from my garden, but you can use dried as well. I've also got some cloves as well as some green cardamom, and we are also going to be adding in some cumin seeds. If you don't have all of these spices, don't worry, but I'd say cumin is possibly the most important one for this dish. For the cardamom pods, we are just going to give them a quick bash in the pestle and mortar. There are little seeds inside the pod, so it's important to get them out to release that flavour. Okay, cardamom all crushed. Before we get cooking, I am just going to talk about measurements because this is really important and it's a stage that a lot of people get a little bit confused on. There are so many different ways of cooking rice. You can cook it in a rice cooker, a pressure cooker. Even this method, which is called the absorption method, is cooked in lots of different ways. So in terms of my recipe, which I think is the foolproof recipe, we have rice here, which we've obviously washed. This is 2 cups of rice, and I'm talking about a measuring cup here, and that's about 380 grams. This will serve about 4 people. Now, even if you're not using this cup, if you're using an actual coffee cup or a mug, what's really important is that you use the same vessel to measure your water. So in my recipe, we're doubling the amount of rice when it comes to the water. So if we've used 2 cups of rice, we're going to use 4 cups of water. So we've got 380 grams. If we're measuring it, if you want to be pedantic, you can be. And that's 4 cups of water, which is approximately 880 mils. So if it's your first time cooking it and you want to be really specific and accurate, it might be a good idea to measure. Ordinarily at home, we just kind of go by what vessel we've measured the rice in, and we'll do the same thing for the water. So now I've covered the measuring side of things, we're going to start cooking. Now the oil is nice and hot, and that's really important for extracting the full flavour of our spices. If we start adding spices to cold oil, nothing really happens. So heat is what brings out that flavour. So we're going to add our bay leaves in first. We've got 4, as well as our cloves. Got 2 teaspoons of cumin seeds, and our crushed cardamom is going to go in too. Give that a quick mix. You can really smell the aromas. We're going to work quickly and very carefully add our water. There will be a little bit of splashback, so be careful. So we've now infused that water with all of those beautifully toasted spices. So I can already tell this is going to be a very flavorful rice dish. We're going to add some salt. You can use whatever salt you have in. I've got some fine sea salt, and I'm going to add in 2 level teaspoons. Okay, we're now going to give this a quick mix, and I'm going to pop the lid on, and we're going to bring this to the boil. Okay, the water has come to a boil. That is a very, very fragrant facial that I'm getting right now. So we're going to pop in the rice, and again, be careful because this water is hot and there might be a little bit of splashback. Also, make sure that you've drained the rice well and there's no excess water in here, otherwise that can mess up the measurements. Okay, we're going to get every last grain out. That's how my mum taught me. So every last little grain, and we're going to now give this a quick mix. Okay, so the idea now is to make sure this comes to a boil, which mine has now started to do. As soon as you see that this comes to a boil, pop the lid back on. Don't cover it completely, just halfway. And we're now going to let this cook on a medium heat. So reduce the heat down. It should be at a rolling simmer. And we're going to cook this for 5 minutes. Now, a little tip that I always tell my students is when they're cooking this recipe to use a wide pan. The wider the pan, the more space the rice has to grow and expand. And so then you don't get those clumps of rice. So avoid using a narrow saucepan. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, so let's have a little look. Okay, so I can see that the water has evaporated from the top, but we should be able to see some water at the bottom. So just use a fork and very carefully check the bottom of the pan. There's still some water there. So this now needs a further 5 minutes. So let's put the lid back on halfway. We're going to set the timer for 5 minutes and check upon it again. Now, it's really important that this is still on that low to medium heat. If your pan is too hot, that water will evaporate too quickly. Okay, it's been another 5 minutes, so let's check the rice again. We're now going to use a fork again just to check the bottom of the pan, see if that water has evaporated fully, which it should have done. Yep, there's no water at all at the bottom. I'm now going to turn the pan off. That's really important. This rice is now ready. The water's completely evaporated. We can see the grains of rice have curled and are pricking up, which is perfect. So the final step is now just to allow the rice to rest for 5 minutes. So I'm going to take this off the heat completely, otherwise it will continue cooking. If you've got a gas hob, obviously you can keep it on and just turn the gas off, but with this being an electric, I'm just going to take it off the hob, allow this to rest for 5 minutes, and then we're going to serve up. This rice has now been resting for 5 minutes, so let's have a look at it. This smells amazing and it looks perfect. Beautiful individual grains of rice, that's what we're looking for. So now time to serve up. Before we do so, we do just need to open up the rice. It's good to use something wide like a paddle, or I've got a wide slotted spoon here, and we're going to very gently open up the rice. So you don't want to break the grain, so be really gentle-handed. And we can just see by opening up the rice that these grains are beautiful and fluffy and perfectly cooked. And the smell from the spices, the cumin, the bay leaves, the cardamom, the cloves, it's just absolutely beautiful. So just being super, super light-handed, open that up, and now we are ready to serve. So I usually like to use a platter to serve my rice on. So it just looks beautiful when you present it on the dining table. At home, so many Indians use their hands whenever they're eating rice. If you're serving it with something like dal, it's lovely to just use your fingers, work the dal into the rice, and then eat it with your hands. It's so satisfying. You see this a lot in South Indian and East Indian cultures. Their cuisine revolves around rice, and using your hands is so satisfying. How beautiful does this look? I'm gonna finish off by garnishing with our bay leaves because they look beautiful. And there we have it. Perfectly cooked steamed Indian rice infused with those amazing spices. You're now ready to dig into this alongside your favorite curries. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson of the secrets of how to cook Indian food. Be sure to check out my other episodes. I'm Monica Howder, thanks for watching.